Today's scenario is scenario number 7 from the SR 2015 pack, Outflank. Has two 12-inch diameter zones along the center line. There's no kill box. Each player receives 1 control point for controlling a zone and 2 control points for dominating a zone, for a total of 3 points available in a turn. The first to 5 wins.
Alright, so round 2 of the scramble format. I decide that I'm going to go with Runes of War and Hoarluk Doomshaper. The reason for this is I like my matchup against Skorne because it has a bunch of big heavy armored beasts. His feat is excellent against Fury casters. Every time they spend a Fury they take a d6. I didn't love the scenario being you know, the 2 big zones. This list likes to brick up, but I figured that he would not be able to fight me wherever I sent my beast load, and I have enough chaff in the Runeshapers that they could slow down any other point scoring opportunities for him. So my plan going into this scenario is to try to actually win by scenario and not by assassination. One of the greatest benefits of this, of course, is the discounted Runeshapers and Janissa putting free Fury on my Krielstone turn 1. So let's see how it rolls.
Pokey here. Continuing with this scramble, I have Mk2, 3, and Naaresh. After seeing that my opponent was playing Trollbloods, and the fact that I played Mk2 last round, I figured I'd give Naaresh a try. Figured on the feet, the Arcadon, or even maybe the Rhinodons might be able to pop some of his heavies, but the Rhinodons and the Annihilators could definitely take care of the most of the infantry that was there. Nice thing about this, it is a tier 4, so I get all the benefits. And one of the things I didn't realize about this list over the other list, which is this list is extremely fast, which you will see on turn 1 of the game. And as always, my objective is bunker. Alright, after winning the roll to go first, or losing the roll to go first, I went ahead and started my deployment. With Naaresh not having a very big deployment zone, I try to keep his battle group somewhat close to where I can, the activations, you know, I have to make sure I do the activations properly. And with the lack of Pathfinder in the army, it kind of made it a little tough. So I was trying to avoid the forest towards the top of the screen, and then there's that big forest in the middle. And even though there's no trees on it, we are counting it as a forest. So my hope is that he doesn't have anything that gives him eyeless sight, and I can run up behind the forest and then kind of divide from there into either one of the zones as needed with my battle group. The Annihilators are going to basically go as close to straight forward into the zones as possible, and then each, you know, wherever the beasts are is pretty much where I'm going to put the beast handlers.
Alright, for my deployment, I had a heck of a time. I tried to convince Pokey that object in the middle was rough terrain with 3 pools of water in it. He wasn't buying it. It is going to be played as a forest. So what I wanted to do is kind of use that to my advantage. I figured I could bring my beast straight up forward, and then I'd have the choice of going right or left depending on how aggressively PG-Pokey went into each different zone. I've placed my tier benefit walls in the zones. Going to set my Runeshapers up to where they can get in behind and form up some defense on each one of those walls. The Runeshapers having Pathfinder is a big bonus in this, because truthfully, and you'll see it when Pokey does his first turn, I did not expect that a Skorne army could get as far up the field as this particular list can. So lessons are going to be learned.
For my AD, after looking at how he's set up, I figured that the Blood Runners with Pathfinder would be good towards the top of the screen, because they would be able to get there, get into the zone, and do fairly well. Because, well, first of all, they have Pathfinders, so they don't care about the forest they're in. And the Master Tormentor would go towards the bottom of the screen to hopefully get in the zone and maybe tie up some infantry early on. Alright, with this tier list, I get the bonus of advanced move for the Annihilators. What I did not understand, what I missed in my reading of the advanced move and the way the tier worked is that I also get to start with my upkeep spells up. I thought it was upkeep spells started at the beginning of the game, not in the beginning of the deployment. So, or I had to nominate in the beginning of the deployment. So the red Annihilators that now have Iron Flesh should have actually been 1 inch further back. The other spell that was put on was Lamentation, which was put on Naaresh. Another bonus for the tier is that all beasts get +2 speed. So pretty much all the beasts do nothing but run. And Brett Telehounds being base speed 7, then going up to speed 9, they can really clear some ground for the first turn. They can almost get to the point to where they'll be out of control range if I'm not careful. The Annihilators then run. My intent for this game, or my plan anyways, is to try to get to the far side of the zone and block him out before he gets, a foothold in, and hopefully try to get some points by try to win the game via scenario. Because looking across, he has the 3 heavies, and it's going to be really tough for me to try to take those out. I can definitely hold him back a little bit, and maybe on my feet I could do some decent damage. But for the most part, it's just a hope I can win by scenario by keeping most of his force pushed back. So as you can tell, everything's pretty much just running forward, hoping not to get too far forward, because Runes of War have the little stone thingies they throw, the scatter, whatever those things are. And with the low arm of my army, it could make it bad. So if you saw right there, Naaresh actually advanced forward. He then cast Cyclone to make another advance forward, and to keep him up into his group. And then all the beast handlers end up running.
Alright, Trollblood turn 1. So someone forgot to mention to me that I was playing a Krix army that is disguised as a Skorne army. His models are disturbingly far up the table. I'm actually feeling like I'm a little bit in danger of losing control of my walls, which would be an anti-benefit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to mitigate a little bit of this damage, try to get some drifts with my Runeshapers. And our first deviation is a decent one. We're going to land on a couple Annihilators, force a couple tough checks, kill one, knock the other one down. So we're off to a good start. The rest of these Runeshapers, once this is done, I don't believe I get any more work out of these guys. Maybe another one hits. But the rest of these guys, their job is going to be run up and take the wall. So I want to make sure that if he's swinging at me, it's over top of the wall. And I want to make sure that I have a good presence in the zone. At this point in time, the way he's set up, I kind of feel like he's hedging his bets a little bit. He's committed 1 heavy beast to the right, the top zone. No heavy beast to the bottom zone. Again, I tried to make him believe that that thing in the middle was rough terrain and forests, and pools of water from Earthborn, but I couldn't get him to do it. So I'm going to kind of also play the hedge game. I'm going to use my Runeshapers to attempt to basically give me a little bit of a foothold in both of these zones. My goal is to not lose all of them. I know I'm going to lose some of them. But basically I wanted to make sure that when I commit my beasts that I'm going to be maximum effectiveness. My plan is going to be to try to score on my next turn. So we're going to try to set up accordingly. I made a mistake here. I think I should have run the first unit of Runeshapers and got them all the way up to that wall on the top zone. As you're going to see me, I'm actually going to cede the control of that wall over to PG-Pokey. And that's not a great plan, because then I'll be trying to fight in. But by doing what I've done here, I've pretty much committed myself to, if I'm going to score, it's going to be in the red zone. Again, I'm just going to advance my beasts, keep them bricked. I want to make sure that they're easily able to get into the zones on the left and right. So I'm not going to go as close up to the forests as Pokey's put his heavies. I want to give myself charge lanes, trample lanes, so on and so forth. So right now I'm positioning Mulg so he can battle the blue zone, and the Mauler and the Earthborn will be able to battle on the red zone, with the Axer kind of being the 50-50 piece. He's going to go either way depending on what I need. So the stone's up. They're just going to put up armor buff. Again, the Mauler and the Earthborn are set up to attack that right zone. I think I'm going to just move the Axer up a little bit. Nice thing about this scenario is it's not kill box, so that little hedge wall that was about the 11-inch line to start the game is actually in a real good spot for Doomy. I don't have to get real brave with him at this time. So that's about it. Trollblood turn 1, I fill the stone up and we're good to go.
Alright, unfortunately on the lower end, on the red circle, he was able to get those guys far enough forward to where they were able to get into the zone and behind the wall. That's not good for me. So I'll go ahead and upkeep Lamentation, but let Iron Flesh drop, because I figure I need the speed to try to engage and hopefully try to clear out the trolls on the lower end. Activate the Taskmaster first, or the Master Tormentor first. Sorry, play a lot of Gators, and she runs up. Threshers. I roll all my hits first. Now it's to see who all gets the arm bonus from the stone. And so now I roll up the damage. And I'm able to do some damage, not a whole bunch. But because I was able to kill my intended target, I do get Sprint. And Sprint does not trigger free strikes. Or I wasn't in close enough to them to trigger to be in melee. So I just kind of skirt around the backside, hopefully locking them down so they can't get too far away from me. Trying to make sure, because she always has reach. So that way it keeps them from advancing too far forward without taking a free strike. She's not very high POW, but she can do some damage if she can do some damage. Then activate the Beast Handlers. They enrage the Reptile Hound. The Reptile Hound then charges. And I ended up putting up his Animus, which is Slaughterhouse, which doesn't allow for tough checks. He's able to charge in and kill the one Runeshaper on the end. I then activate the Annihilators. They then take the charge order. I know swinging over the wall makes it to where they're a little bit harder to hit, but I'm hoping with enough damage, with enough swings, I should be able to do something. So the one that was knocked down earlier just moves off to the side. The rest run/charge. And yes, that one did run up to get in the way of the Earthborn hoping that I can get to, to trample or stay and swing at me instead. So now I'm trying to decide who I swing on next. And I end up swinging on my own guy, knocking him down. And once again, I have to swing on my own guy. He makes his tough check. The knockdown guy. Because I can choose who I berserk swing on. I figure, well, if he's already knocked down, might as well swing on him anyways. I was just checking to see if the Reptile Hound was or was not in my control area, in case I needed to count that towards my amount of fury that I have on the table. The Rhinodon then moves to toe the zone, but hoping to keep him behind the forest, so he doesn't get a line of sight and is able to charge through and kill off one of my heavies that I'm hoping will be able to do something back to him on his turn, after his turn. So now the next Reptile Hound goes and runs and engages Mulg and one of the Runeshapers, hoping that once again that his presence there will cause an issue for my opponent. So now the Annihilators activate and they take the run charge order. I measured out my complete threat range, making sure I could actually get there, and then move the model. And then everybody else just kind of charges in or runs up to the wall. Not exactly sure. I think I was actually out on that one. So the rest of them kind of run up, trying to take up some of the space in the zone. Once again, trying to block him out. He did not toe the zone down there. So, yeah, it's a matter of everybody trying to get in the way. Those that charged, I had them swing. And I was doing fairly good with doing little points of damage here or there. Now we're discussing how broken trolls are, because they're stones and all other happy stuff. Luckily for me, my opponent was not rolling too well on his tough checks early in the game. Here, they did make their command check. Now that Rhinodon just advances forward into the zone, a little further deeper into the zone, not too far, because Mulg is still on that side, and my opponent does have access to Pathfinder, so not a good thing for me. Then the Blood Runners activate. They take the run charge order, and they charge the one Runeshaper. Trying to figure out if it has any damage on it, because I don't remember. So I go ahead and roll out the damage, make this tough check, and because I was able to hit somebody, I get to make a shadow play move, which means they get to be placed within 1 inch of the model that got hit. So I place him there, and because he didn't charge, he doesn't get to make a swing. If he would have actually been charged somebody and made combat into his target, I could have jumped him up and he could have still made a swing. But I didn't, he just ran. And then I activate the Arcadon. He just backs up out of the forest, trying to keep him safe. And then the Beast Handlers, they advance forward, towing the zone. And they end up riling Rhinodon for 2 because, well, I can't seem to count. And I know how much I'm going to end up spending on the table. So now the Agonizer moves forward. After he puts up Spiritual Affliction, activate Naaresh. Naaresh drops 2 more in to increase the aura of the Agonizer. sitting on 3, and then I activate the Reptile Hound, move forward, and move him backwards into in and out of the forest.
Alright, Trollblood turn 2. PG-Pokey has asked some significant questions on his turn. He's sort of flooded the zones on both sides. I like his setup way better in the blue zone than the red zone. I feel like at this point, as I'm weighing my options, he doesn't have good angles to really get back at my beasts. On the red zone, if I come in and clear out what's kind of in there, I think I have he's left one guy towards the back of the red zone in the bottom, which I've been thinking about how I'm going to clear him out. But I do believe I'm going to have a chance to score on that zone on this turn. That's my thought process as I start the turn. The top, I just want to make it so that he doesn't have a way to score on his turn. So what that says to me is I need to get Mulg into to toe that zone. So my goals for this turn are going to be to try to score in the red zone and have a fully armored up Mulg contesting the top zone. And we'll see how that works out. The first thing that happens is the Earthborn is going to trample and attempt to clear out the 2 annihilators that he can get to. In this list, I'm much more willing to give away the Mauler than any other piece outside of a Runeshaper. I just feel like, you know, his Animus is great and you need it for you know, cracking the heaviest of armor, but the list that PG-Pokey has brought, the Mauler to me is kind of expendable. He's not going to make a huge difference with his Animus either way. So I'm gonna, of all the things I do this turn, I'll put the Mauler in the most precarious position. This solo guy is kind of annoying. All right, now I'm going to try to tremor and knock down as much as I can. Get a okay roll, not a great one. Manages to knock down, I think, either 2 or 3 models. That guy was close, but since I banged on, I was like, forget it. But I got the solo, and the solo was the one that was really annoying to me. So, I'll throw one exactly. Rock hammer to kill a guy. So now I've got kind of a problem. I'm kind of blocking myself in. If I still want to score in the zone, that's now his spacing is a little better than I thought it was going to be. Thanks to his making a tough roll or me not cracking armor. I can't remember which it was. I'm just go ahead and move in the Runeshapers and doing my Runeshaper fighting first. One of the best abilities they have is Tremor. Them being steady. The ability to knock down multiple models in the area is a good one. The guys that Pokey has up here at the top, you know, they're really good at getting into your backfield, but they kind of die to a stiff breeze. So a couple of not really able to deviate very far rock hammers is able to clear out most of, not all, that unit. I believe he has like 1 guy left when I'm done. So again, I'm trying to determine how I'm going to create the space that I need for Mulg to get into that zone, and this guy right here has got to go. So we're lucky he does not tough, so now I've created some space, and I'm just going to run out the rest of these Runeshapers activations. Going back to the Mauler for a minute, just because he's a good talking point. Runes of Roar is pretty much played at the list setup that I'm playing ever since I guess Flanzer made it so popular back in the day. But I've seen a couple people start moving to a Pyrotroll and freeing up a little bit more points. It's a very interesting thought. I'm going to experiment with that, I think, soon. But as you see now, Mulg has come in and towed the zone. He's going to try to clear out anybody that he can get to. But the main thing is he's going to have transmute on him, and he's sitting by a wall, and he's towing his zone. So that's going to make Mulg, after this is all said and done, I believe armor 23. So I feel like on the Rhinodon's best day, he's not going to be able to put Mulg in the dirt. And the key now is to make sure that it's not the Rhinodon and friends that are getting on Mulg, just the Rhinodon. So that being the case, We're going to try to clear out a little bit more of this infantry. The Krielstone got a run charge order. Krielstone is going to attempt to slay some dudes. It's always fun to me when I play the Krielstone. At some point when I play with Krielstone, it's going to charge you. And the looks on people's faces when it does things besides just buff the Troll's armor, it's kind of fun. You know, they can, at some point in the game, they're cannon fodder. You let them go. And they can jam. They can contest zones. They can tie up people so they'll take free strikes. You know, they're a hugely versatile unit. Now my Mauler is coming into the red zone. He is going to, I believe, only be able to kill one guy. He kept missing, and then I had to keep using Fury. So he kills one guy. So my dreams and hopes of scoring this turn are quickly dashed. What I wanted to have is those 3 Annihilators around the wall to be gone, and then Doomshaper to come up and spell down the last one. So instead, Doomshaper's gonna play a little bit more defensive game. He's gonna come throw transmute up on the Mauler, and then he's going to have Janissa come over and make him a bunker. So at this point, what I'm hoping is I haven't left really great charge angles for Pokey to retaliate on my beast down in the red zone. If I give up anything, I'm hoping I'll give up the Mauler. And then we'll start trying to score next turn. So the Agonizer is a bit of an issue. I know it's going to come closer, but we have ways to take care of him.
Alright, he was able to bring in some of those heavies on the red circle. I was really hoping he wouldn't have brought him in so soon. I was hoping I had at least one more turn of them hanging back. So now I have to kind of refigure out my plan here. The Annihilators are still holding both circles. I've lost probably about half of each unit. So I'm going to activate the blue unit first. And they're going to take the run charge order. And the one ends up sliding down the fence to charge Mulg. And the other ones try to get around the fence so he doesn't have the wall, so he doesn't have the wall bonus. And I just start swinging, and this is kind of where the dice decide they don't really want to work all too well for me. But his dice are starting to catch up for him and work a little better. Fortunately for me, he did end up, well, unfortunately for me, he killed off both my reptile hounds, but they were kind of enough of a nuisance, I guess, that, you know, he felt he had to take care of them. So that meant that there was a little bit less being done to other models. So I'm not complaining too much. You know, I activate the Blood Runners next. They then charge. I'm able to start doing some damage on the Runeshapers with them, and I'm trying to figure out my shadow play jump. Because once again, it is only ½ inch from the models. You know, well, it's 1 inch from the model that did the hit. So, doing what I can to figure out the proper jumps. Now, the beast handlers, which you'll almost never see in combat unless they need to be there, are now getting into the fray. One charges in, hoping to do an auto point, but I got to roll the hit first, which he being knocked down, I auto hit in melee. He fails his tough check, so the beast handler scores himself a troll. Then the Runedon activates, charges in, Does boost to hit. And swings on one of the Runeshapers. And unfortunately with the feet up, that means I take D3 points of damage for each Fury point I've spent so far. So he ends up taking 2D3 so far. But I'm able to at least was kill off one more of the Runeshapers. Like I said, this was more about trying to clear the zones so I could start scoring points. Because I didn't really think that I'd be able to do too much to his heavies without popping Naaresh's feet first, and I just didn't feel like this was the right time for that. So that's what I'm doing right there. Activated the Master Tormentor. It did its thresher attack to swing on those two guys, but unfortunately standing still, no charges, with such a low POW, it really kind of hurts. Hurts me, it doesn't hurt him too much, but did put at least a point on each of them. Then the Annihilators activate, they take the run charge order, and they do what they can. So now they've killed off both of the units of Runeshapers on the red circle. Now it's just to deal with the heavies. Not too sure if I'll be able to do too much to them, being POW 12 against their arm, I believe under the stone they're like arm 20. So it'll be a very interesting battle. Not one I'm thinking I'm going to win, but at least was one I can hope to wear them down some. So I activate the Beast Handlers, they enrage the Rhinodon, which I figure the Rhinodon, if I can get him in there, should be able to do some damage if the dice are with me. So being enraged, he charges in to start swinging on the Mauler. And of course, rolling like that, not doing much damage, or any damage for that matter. So I go through and I do all my damage, my free attacks, the ones before I have to buy. And with his feet up, now I have to determine, do I really want to buy any, or just force him to deal with it later on. So I decide to go ahead and just let him sit there without any fury on him. The Arcane then activates and riles for one. Doesn't rile for one. Trying to figure out how far forward he can get, if it's even worth it. So he just flies straight sideways because I had no line of sight to him. So I boost. That's a hit. Luckily for me, I hit. And I'm going to crit pitch, because that's one of the best special abilities for the Arcane. He has a crit pitch if I make a critical hit. So I decide to pitch him backwards onto the Earthborn. And he does get far enough back to where he would clip. Well, they'd both end up sharing some of the same space. So they go like that. They're both knocked down, which is good for me. And I just roll out the damage. Don't worry about boosting it, because I figure, well, I don't need any more damage put on me, especially when it's D6 per fury point. So the Reptile Hound then activates, moves around the corner. Naaresh then backs up and moves towards the blue circle. I'm hoping I can stay out of the feet, so I can so I can at least cast something like Cyclone and move further into the zone.
All right, our turn 3. So one of the things on Doomshaper's card is that when one of his beasts frenzies, he gets to pick the target of the frenzy. I'm gonna have some frenzy issues at the beginning of this turn, and because of the fact that PG-Pokey was able to knock down my 2 heavies in the bottom zone, they are not going to be able to pick any targets, because they basically stand up, and this actually works out where the Earthborn hits the Mauler, and that's all that happens this turn. So it's mildly annoying. He does a little bit of damage to him. So both of them frenzy, clear the Fury off. They're both in the zone. They're going to be armored up. Not too worried about it. But you know, there's no chance of me scoring at this point due to that. And so what the best plan I can come up with at this point is I want to set it up so I guess in the words of the Brits, my next turn is going to be champion. Yeah, I don't know. I read on the forums all the time. I think it's kind of fun. Just don't have any type of accent, and you know, whatever. So Mulg is going to go in here and tow this zone. We're discussing the fact that there is some zone for him to tow. I do believe that all you have to do is be base to base with the zone, and you're considered to be contesting. But there's actually room for Mulg to get onto the lip of the zone. So that's what this discussion right here is about. Once Mulg takes care of that heavy in the blue zone, he's going to be pretty much invincible over there at armor 23 and threatening Naaresh. So unless Naaresh wants to try to take Mulg out by himself, I feel pretty good about his chances. The Krielstone is singing or calling for strength, and then they're charging the Agonizer. So it'd be real nice if my Krielstone is able to take out the Agonizer, which it does, which is, you know, very fortunate. But you know, like I said before, people always forget that Krielstone has weapons, and they're POW 12s when they sing for strength, or call for strength rather. So now Mulg is going to activate. He's going to go in there and tow that zone. I've cleared out the space for him. There's one Annihilator in front of the Rhinodon. And then now, well, I guess he's not going to go. I keep teasing you guys with my Mulg activation. It is coming. So my last 2 Runeshapers, the only 2 left in the entire army, are going to come over here and try to get a little more work done. It's nice that they're only 1 point apiece. You don't feel bad when they're obliterated off the table like Pokey did to these ones. But I think, you know, they performed their role that they needed to do. They held up the flanks until I could get my beasts in a position where, you know, they're going to be in ability to come in and contest and control zones after the Runeshapers kind of muddy the waters for a little bit. So he makes another tough check, which is fine. He toughs more than I do with trolls. Mulg comes in now. He's going to use his initials. His meaty fist will go after the Annihilator, and his club on the Rhinodon. I actually think I roll a crit at one point. I don't take it because I don't want the Rhinodon to leave Mulg's swing. I find with crit smite and Mulg, the best time that crit smite comes into play is when he's protective fitting against something trying to kill your caster. That's the one time I almost always will let the crit smite happen. Otherwise, I want the target to stay close enough to where Mulg is going to be able to kill it. So we killed the Annihilator. We swing in on the Rhinodon, and I believe with some good dice, with only 3 Fury and 2 initials, we killed the Annihilator and the Rhinodon. So Mulg at this point is, I feel like he's sitting pretty. There's nothing really over there that can kill him. He's going to be armor 23, or at least 21. And at that point, he's pretty much going to board control that zone. Whether or not I'm scoring points on it or is not real relevant at this point. There's basically no way that the blue zone is going to be scored by Pokey. So now I got to get Runeshaper and Hoarluk and Janissa out of the Axer's way, so the Axer can get after PG-Pokey's 2 War Beasts. So Doomshaper is kind of putting himself close to that annoying solo that has been wrecking house over there for Pokey. But it frees up charge lane for the Axer. I kept 2 transfers, so I'm not real worried about it. The only thing I'd be worried about this turn is somehow the Archdon getting disengaged and doing some type of flying shenanigans. So the Axer's going to come in. He's going to Thresher on his charge, which is a nice ability to be able to do. Only the charge bonus goes against the Archdon, but the other hits also happen. He hits one Annihilator, I believe, who also toughs. I'm not certain. But he does decent damage to both the beasts. And more importantly, he's engaging them both. So I feel like the little beast brick that I've got going on down here on the red zone is pretty much not going to be able to be hurt. And then next turn, I should be able to just take everything that is in that zone off the table.
Okay, that was pretty brutal. The attacks were pretty bad on me. So I am running low on time. So now it's just a matter of doing my maintenance phase. The Archdon was out of my control area, so he had to take a frenzy check and failed, so he ended up swinging on the Axer. It would be nice if I could have not frenzied with him, allowed him to activate normally. I still have Annihilator that's knocked down, and like I said, I am running short on time, so I have very little that I can potentially do, and I'm trying to figure out a way to not give up control points, because if this was a scenario, I wouldn't want to give my opponent control points or too many army points. So I activate the beast handlers. They do their little thing to advance forward. The one enrages the Reptile Hound, one is up swinging on the Runeshaper, and I miss. The other one swings and also misses. And the Blood Runners then activate. They then move around, what's left of them anyways. Rolling to hit, and I miss. Well, I hit, but I don't do any damage, but the other guy hits. I do the jump there, doing an auto blink. The Annihilators then activate. They then just advance. And doing no damage. The Master Tormentor, having Pathfinder, decides to charge his caster and decide to Thresher. I was able to do some damage, but not enough to warrant a transfer or even to get Mulg to turn around to come towards me. I then activate the Annihilators. They then take the run charge order. The one that was knocked down stands up to move out of the way. The other one charges, not getting 3. That one charges, not getting 3. And that one charges, getting 3, but over the wall. It's just going to make it tough. So I do a couple more points of damage, but not too much. But he does end up transferring it. And once again, my time is running short. Not too much time left on my clock. I've really let a lot of it go with trying to figure out the earlier turns with all the different models. Yeah, so it just makes it kind of tough to try to figure out how to pull this one out. I put my token down to let me know that the Archdon did frenzy and it wasn't happy about it, and that now the Rhinodon
it has its mind out. So I have to... yeah, it's mind. Mind is out, so I go to swing, but I miss. I think I rolled one too many dice there. Now I'm activating the one enraged reptile hound. He's going in to take a bite out of Mulg, if he can. He hits, and at POW 10 does no damage. Then Naaresh activates, he advances forward. Because now it's just a matter, now I'm just trying to go through and collect control points. I do not get close enough to engage 2 of the stones, but I do get one the stone bearer. So I rolled it to hit. He makes his tough check. He then makes his second swing, and he pawns it off on the other guy. So I roll again. He fails a tough check. Now he realizes that as long as he keeps sack pawning, that I'll just keep on swinging on the guys. And then I'm just trying to figure out my next order. So the beast handlers then activate to get into the forest, hoping to try to take out the stone guy. And that's where I deathclock myself. The ultimate hope for that last bit was to try to earn as many army points as I could for future matches, for matchups.